Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo, and this is 3 Buck Theater, and we're going to be talking about some breaking news. Actually, Sony has announced essentially that Venom is getting a movie coming out in 2018. That's right. Yeah, they haven't even solidified Tom Holland as Spider-Man yet in his own feature, of which I have absolutely no doubt that he will do well in it. They've already decided that Venom is going to be coming. And before we go into the article, let's kind of take a quick second and talk about why this is happening. Because what happened the last time Sony tackled Venom? By the way, that was 10 years ago come May. Spider-Man 3 was 10 years ago, and they're going, "Oh, it's been a decade. It's been a decade, guys. We can totally do this. We can totally make this a thing." I don't know. I am a little bit concerned. If this is through Marvel Studios, then maybe. If it's not through Marvel Studios and not connected to Tom Holland and the new Spider-Man franchise, then then it's going to be a little bit odd. And the only way for this to work, essentially, is to introduce the symbiote suit in Spider-Man Homecoming. And if it's tied together at all, if it's a standalone, one shot, one off, kind of like Logan, then it's not going to work. Logan at least played upon the history of the X-Men franchise before diving off into its own singular story and ending the franchise altogether, at least with Hugh Jackman. But it had history to pull from. This feels rushed. This feels desperate, in my opinion, because fans of Venom want a Venom movie. Fans of Spider-Man want a Venom movie. Comic book fans in general want a good Venom movie, because if it's a good Venom movie, it leads into a good Maximum Carnage movie. And that's what we all want. Spidey and Venom teaming up to fight Maximum Carnage. Ooh, that would be great. But let's see what the article says here. Last year, it was reported that Sony Pictures is working on a Spider-Man spin-off film for the character of Venom, one of the hero's most iconic villains. While it has been quiet on the news front with that project, it appears things might be moving forward. It was revealed today that Sony has scheduled Venom for October 5th, 2018, which was the original date for Aquaman before it got moved to December 21st, 2018. Now, the Aquaman news is actually really interesting because that just came out like an hour and a half ago. So whoever at Warner Brothers pushed this back did not want to play chicken with Venom. Same way that Batman v Superman and Captain America Civil War had the same release date for a little bit until Warner Brothers decided to move it up a couple months early in order to not compete with it, right? Like, so you've got basically Marvel properties playing chicken with DC properties, and DC keeps jumping every single time. So there's that. So Venom just kind of steamrolled its way into Aquaman territory, and Warner's was like, fuck that shit. We dropping this shit right to fucking Christmas. Now, if you're also wondering about Aquaman moving to Christmas, why it should work out okay, there's no Star Wars movie set for that particular weekend, because that particular weekend in the last two Christmases has been kind of like Star Wars territory. And we are knowing that after this fall or this winter with Star Wars Episode 8, there's not going to be the Han Solo movie in December of 2018 that's coming out like Memorial Day 2018. So that weekend that has been an extremely profitable weekend is going to go to Aquaman. So that is pretty much, in my opinion, what Warner's is thinking by going down that path. But it does say, the last time we heard anything about this project was that Sleepless Night scribe Dante Harper had been hired to write the screenplay for the spin-off film, which is reportedly being overseen and produced by Avi Arad and Matt Tolmach. Oh, God, Avi Arad. No. I thought we were rid of him. I thought we were rid of Avi. He did his part in bringing these characters to life via the comics. And some of the movies he's produced has been okay. But for the most part, when it comes to producing comic book films, nobody gives a shit about Avi Arad anymore. So they definitely don't want him to be involved. According to the Hollywood Reporter last year, the project wasn't planned to be set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, although things may have changed since then, but that remains to be seen. They have to at this point. They fucking have to. All right? This isn't like the animated Miles Morales movie that's coming out. That's coming out. This is not that at all. And we don't even know if the untitled Miles Morales Spider-Man movie is even happening. It's just, we know it's an animated Spider-Man movie. That's it. But then again, you cannot create a character that is outside of the MCU with the MCU being as popular and as profitable as it is. So we know that essentially the deal is going to be tied. Either Sony is going to produce it on its own with working a deal with Marvel to make it work, or Marvel is going to make it just like they did Spider-Man, and Sony's going to reap the profits. That's what I'm thinking here. And the only way for that to happen, the only fucking way for that to happen, is that they have to introduce fucking Eddie Brock in Spider-Man Homecoming. They have to introduce, the symbiote suit in Spider-Man Homecoming. And that is overloading an origin film. Even though it's not technically an origin movie because we've already established that he has the powers of Spider-Man, but it's essentially the first entry into a new franchise. God damn it, I don't want them to fucking overload it. They did this with fucking Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 is a movie I will defend. I will defend it. I did enjoy it. I still, to this day, 10 years later, enjoy that movie. But I will fully admit that they overloaded it with villains. And they rushed Venom. And I liked Topher Grace as Eddie Brock. I thought he had the attitude right, even though even if his particular physical structure wasn't that of a meathead, right? But I felt he kind of still played the part well. But that being said, the Venom character is a character that requires a lot of buildup. It's something that should come in Spider-Man 2, and then that would be like the cliffhanger of Spider-Man 2 would be the symbiote, and then Venom in Spider-Man 3 effectively, right? That should be what they do. Not make us, oh god damn it. Unless it's done right. And the only way it's going to be done right is if Marvel is involved. That is the only way it's going to be done right. So while I'm excited to see this, and yes, October 4th, 2018 at the 7 p.m. early show, my fat ass will be sitting down there with tickets, I guarantee it. I'm nervous. I'm cautiously optimistic because they're giving it his own movie. But the character to be portrayed properly needs a Spider-Man buildup. We need the symbiote suit. We need all of that shit. Less dance sequences, because even though I found them to be entertaining, a lot of people didn't. And this is just breaking right now. Alex Kurtzman, writer of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and director of the Mummy reboot, will be at the helm of Sony's Venom. And this is an interesting thing because Alex Kurtzman was the person at Sony with Amazing Spider-Man 2 who was crafting the Sinister Six storyline, crafting their connected universe. He was very much involved with that particular narrative structure of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And here's the thing. I enjoyed the fuck out of that movie too. I did. I enjoyed both Amazing Spider-Man movies. I liked them. I'm actually really bummed that they never continued the franchise as much as I like Tom Holland in the role, and I'm excited as shit for the new Spider-Man. I did enjoy the direction that was going on with Amazing Spider-Man. Now, they were very much trying to I think, bite off more than they could chew, and the fact that the budget was so high on that movie is one of the reasons why Sinister Six never happened with Drew Goddard, and also why Amazing Spider-Man 3 never happened, because Sony, again, losses. That's what's happening. They just keep losing money, and so now we know that you've got one of the people involved with fucking Amazing Spider-Man 2 as the director, or at least probably the director. This is news that is kind of food for thought. It's not necessarily good. It's not necessarily bad. Alex Kurtzman I like, but predominantly when he works with Robert Orci. When they write together, I generally like their work. So him on his own could be good, could be bad. We'll have to wait for The Mummy coming out in June to determine if he's going to be any bit good of a director. But with Sony bringing him on to handle this and everything, it should be interesting. But again, it brings up the question, how much will this be tied to the MCU? Believe me, with this going forward, I will be covering as much information as I can when this stuff happens. But this is where we're at. I am curious to know your guys' thoughts on this one. Do you think that Venom will be any good? Do you think that if they don't tie this to the MCU, they're shooting themselves in the foot? Is this an act of desperation because Columbia Pictures is in such dire straits and they absolutely positively need to maintain the wins in order to stay afloat? Because I've heard rumors of Sony looking to sell off Columbia Pictures because of the constant losses that they've been making. So these are questions. I want answers. Write them down in the comments. My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater. What are your thoughts? Like the video, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. I will talk to you all later, and peace out.